Call this meeting of the Planning Board to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll start with the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting, Monday, November 21st. And old business, we had Reamer Avenue Deli. We had a motion to increase the escrow. New business, we discussed the holder lot line adjustment, and then set the public hearing will be tonight. We had a discussion and public hearing on Stony Brook Estates. Move the public hearing to be continued until the January 23rd, 2023 meeting. We had discussion and public hearing on New York Transco. And continued that public hearing again to the January 23rd meeting. So I'll need a motion to accept the minutes. Motion made by Member Williams, seconded by Member Sador. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Minutes are now approved. Okay, so before we get to the old business, which is the Savalos, just a quick announcement. At our meeting, Planning Board meeting 2 weeks ago, we approved the hiring of a consultant from PACE as part of our review for Transco. Despite everyone's best efforts, we were not able to come to an agreement with the consultant as to how their agreement was going to be worded. And so we could not come to an agreement, and so we do not have that consultant from PACE. If our attorney wanted to, she was very involved in really trying to make it happen. I don't know if you just want to expand on that at all.
Well, there were both timing issues and issues related to. We can go into an attorney-client session if you want, like full legal disclosure. But there were issues related to the scope of the agreement and what would be covered and what they would agree to hold themselves out as.
Right. So suffice to say, we are not going to be utilizing that consultant. So just want to make that announcement. Okay. Now under old business, Savalos. Representative Savalos, come forward, please. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Steve Whalen, Whalen Architecture. The architect of the project. I'm also joined tonight by Ruben Savalos, he's the owner. Just to recap, I know it's been several months since we've been here. We're looking to, within an existing building, renovate the second floor of this existing building to create a new two-bedroom apartment, which will be approximately 995 square feet. And also within there to create an office, which will also be about 868 square feet. The last time we were before the town, we were here for the Zoning Board of Appeals. We made a variance for the two proposed decks. We needed one, actually for only the one deck on the south side of the building. That variance has since been granted. And since then, we've been working with our civil engineer, it's Matt Town of Willingham Engineering. He's been working with the health department for the design of the septic system and well. We also received a letter, I believe, on Friday from AKRF, which I have now forwarded off to our civil engineer, so we're starting to address those comments.
Okay. All right. So again, just as a reminder to the board. Your Savalos was here approximately a year ago, or nearly a year ago. Right? I had to go to the ZBA for variance, so that took place. Okay, and so these are the pictures on the right are these aren't renderings, this is actual pictures?
Correct.
Okay. And then on the left side is the drawings of what it would look like once it's fully
Yeah,
built
once
out.
it's complete. And just for the boards, just to bring the board up to speed, so one deck has been constructed and not to the full size that was allowed. And that's just to gain access. Because the second story of this building, that story right there,
Yeah.
it was originally designed to be just a storage area.
Mhm.
So Ruben has an active landscaping company, so he needs access to get in and out there.
Right. And so it's a four bay garage, correct? On the, I guess, the first floor or the ground floor. And then the floor above that will be more or less half an apartment and half an office?
Mhm.
Okay. And is there a connection between the apartment or office, or do you have to go outside and then go
No,
around?
it's gonna be a wall between that.
There's a wall between.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I don't have any further comments or questions at this time. Go through the planning board members and then our consultants. Member Sador, any comments or questions?
No?
Member Holmes? No. Member Williams? Okay. Who should we start with?
I mean, I can start. So,
Attorney Polidoro?
last time they were before the board, we classified it and we referred it to the zoning board of appeals. We did not send to county planning because we wanted to see what would happen.
Right.
So that step has been done. I guess the biggest issue is that last time you were here, we were talking about the decks, but now we're talking about the use. And the question that is coming up is the proposed use commercial, or does it really fit within a home occupation? And do you need a special permit for the home occupation? Because a general service business would not be permitted in this district. It's a residential lot for the most part.
And the office would just be used, and just correct me if I'm wrong, the office would just be used by Ruben and one other employee?
My wife and my sister, that's all.
Just
Okay.
two people?
2 people, that's all.
So
Because-
any of the other employees, they show up, park their cars, use the vehicles that are stored on that lower level,
Mhm.
but it's not like they're working there.
Mhm.
It's really just a. it's
Place to
just a
store the vehicles, do
Fifth to work, yeah.
bookkeeping, or answer take calls.
So do you, I mean, we saw 16 employees on some of the paperwork, but you're not showing necessarily parking on your site plan for 16 cars?
You could, yeah, I mean, he's got the room, we could show designated parking in there.
It also, your septic was designed for more than 2 people. So I think our request is going to be that you confer with the building inspector / zoning enforcement officer on whether or not this is a permitted use.
Okay.
And that's it for me.
That's it for legal. Thank you, Attorney Polidoro. Planner Lyon?
That was the item that we had flagged in our memo as well, that it seemed like it was something that required a home occupation special permit.
Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to? No? Okay.
No.
All right. Okay. You can see AKRF's letter. In case any planning board members have any questions about it. All right, and then here,
When you submit the next stuff, figure out your daily trips.
Okay.
okay. All right.
Oh, and, sorry, and also, I think it was in the letter, but you need a current surveyor seal.
Yeah, we had a survey of this property, obviously, a couple of the information, so
Right.
we'll include that information. on the
Right, but
resolution.
realize that that surveyor can no longer stamp them, because he's passed away. So you've got to find a surveyor who can seal this.
Okay.
right, that came up in the consultants meeting. Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't aware of that.
Okay.
You're right. No, I didn't think you were. That's why I wanted to let you know you're not.
I only heard about it when we had the meeting this past week.
Okay.
Okay. Members of the planning board, having heard from our consultants, any additional questions or comments this time? All right, best course of action right now is for them to speak with the building inspector. We don't need to send this to county planning just yet. I mean, if it's going to proceed, we would, because it's along a county road.
But I think we need to determine exactly what the application is before we send it over
Yeah.
there.
As we were looking through the zoning code, there were 11 points, I think, in the home occupation part of the zoning. So, and then the A through,
I
oh,
can
was it
pull it up.
11 or 9?
Give me a minute.
A through H, we have them in our memo,
Okay, it's not
under
11.
item 15.
Was that in a letter from KRF? I believe it was.
All right. 145.
Dash 41B2.
Yeah, so there's the criteria, 145-41B, and then, so it's A through H, so 8 criteria, and then, but by special permit, you still have to follow A through H.
Okay.
So, right, and it's clear that you have to basically hit each of those 8.
Yes,
Okay. It can't be, well, 7 out of 8's pretty good. You gotta hit all 8.
to comply with
So,
each.
yeah, I would just have somebody review those, these 8 criteria, and speak with the building inspector. Any further comments, or, any further questions for us or the consultants? Or?
No, I think that's, we'll just address these comments with the building inspector and then submit for the next planning board meeting.
So I guess, so the next applicable deadline would be January 4th for the January 23rd meeting.
Okay,
Otherwise, it'd be January 18th for the February 6th meeting.
okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, great,
Thank you. All right. So at this time, we'll have discussion and then a public hearing regarding the Holder lot line adjustment. Is there a representative from Holder that'd like to come to the
Yes.
podium? Okay.
Good evening, Ron Provos on behalf of the holders.
Good evening. Okay. And so this is for a lot line adjustment on Sheldon Road off of Johnson Road
That's
in the
correct.
Wingdale part of town.
It's a total of approximately 40 feet, encompassing just an arced area where the proposed garage would be built. The proposed garage would be 36 by 36. It encompasses a one-story, three-bay garage for personal use.
Okay. And it was discussed last time that the foundation for the garage has been built, and that the shed is going to be removed.
Yes,
Part
so
of-
that is correct. And so the survey that you're looking at, it basically indicates, you'll see the small area, which is the small shaded area, which is the existing shed. And of course, once the larger garage area is built, then that will obviously replace the shed, and that will be removed permanently.
Okay. All right. And we did receive the letter from the property owner, one of the Carringtons.
Karen,
That was something that we needed in order to proceed here. Will we still did not receive is an updated plat, just because,
Yeah, the surveyor did, just today, I've been waiting for it. I mean, he did send it to me this afternoon. I've just emailed it over. Hopefully that will satisfy the additional requirements. If not, whatever else is necessary, be happy to provide that. Just, the surveyors are just working on a schedule, and they're trying to do the best they can with it.
sure. All right. Okay, that's all I have for now. We'll go through members of the planning board, see if there's any comments or questions. Member Holmes?
No.
Okay. Member Williams? Member Sador?
Nope.
We'll go to our planners, our consultants. Attorney Polidoro?
No comments, except that we don't have any resolution prepared because we've not seen the updated plat yet.
Right, we didn't know we would get it today.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Polidoro.
Yeah, so we had the same outstanding comment that we were waiting to see the revised plat, and I haven't had a chance to look at it.
All right, and engineer?
It's the same, that we're waiting, and that the final plat will have to be stamped, sealed by a surveyor, as well as you get the health department signature.
Okay. Thank you. Having heard from our consultants, any comments or questions from any members of the planning board? Okay. So the only thing we're really waiting on is, well, obviously we're going to have this public hearing, see what the public has to say, but also just an updated plat that we can look at.
It's a type 2 seeker action, so nothing that we have to do there. We're already in the public hearing. We have the letter of authorization now, so we just need to make sure the plat has all the necessary information on it. It doesn't pose any other issues or create any different issues.
Did you have anything further to
No,
add?
no,
or
thank you.
Clients want to say anything before we start the public
They're
hearing?
here if they wish to
If
speak.
you can say nothing, you can say whatever you want.
No.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, so,
Just
oh, you're the only person that signed
Yeah.
up for the public hearing. Okay. Well, so, make a motion to open the public hearing. Motion made by myself, seconded by
Second.
Member Sador. All in favor of opening this public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say no. The public hearing is now open. Any members of the public wishing to address the planning board on the Holder lot line adjustment, please come to the podium. Mr. Boza, is it? Boza?
Yes.
Okay. So everything you just said, you would include in what you would say in this public hearing?
Absolutely.
So we don't need to hear everything.
Nothing
We don't need to hear everyone again? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Boza. Any other members of the public wishing to speak at this public hearing on the Holder lot line adjustment? Please come to the podium at this time. Okay. Okay, so seeing no one approaching the podium, planning board, I think we could,
I was gonna say we should continue it only because we don't know
because of the plat
what
issue?
is on the plat.
True. Okay.
It won't make a difference timing wise because you could close it and approve it at the next meeting.
Sure, that's true. Okay. So, members of the planning board, I'll make a motion to continue this public hearing to our next meeting, December 19th, 7 p.m. or soon thereafter. We can address this?
So moved.
Motion made by Member Williams, seconded by Member Holmes. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of continuing the public hearing, as I stated, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. Okay, this public hearing is now continued. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's one. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is discussion and then public hearing on Harlem Valley Homestead. Harlem Valley Homestead, like to come to the podium.
Good evening, I'm John Watson from Insight Engineering, Surveying, Landscape Architecture, PC. Here representing Holland Valley Homestead, here for a special permit and site plan for a country and conference center located on Old Forge Road. If we could go to the master plan folder at the top.
Exhibit 2?
Yep, Exhibit 2, and then open up master plan set and go to M1, which is the next sheet. Yep, that's
This
it.
is M1, okay.
Yep. That one shows, yep, perfect. So for reference, Old Forge Road.
I'm just making it bigger for everyone.
Sure.
Okay.
So for reference, Old Forge Road is here down by 10 Mile River, comes up the hill, the existing farmhouse is over here, continues in a northerly direction, and the existing farm core, which has some existing barns and buildings, is down in this area here. This existing meadow, and the blue, pink, and green buildings, and the orange buildings are the proposed structures as part of the project. We're here tonight because over the last year, we've updated our plans, reports, and studies based on a reduced scope. At the previous public hearing back in October 4th, 2021, we had comments from both the town and the project about the intensity of use of the project and just the overall size and impacts of the project. Since that time, the applicants voluntarily decided to reduce the scope and intensity of use of the land, and that's as it relates to both accessing the site and also for how the site is being used. Specifically, what we've done is we've reduced the total number of guest keys by reducing the key count from 48 units down to 42 keys total. We've removed the 450-person event from the operational plan. Currently, the operational plan includes events up to 200 people, and those events, those maximum large events, will be capped at 18 events per year maximum. Field A, which is not on this plan, it's further up Old Forge Road near 10 Mile River. Keep going up.
Up your mouth.
Up, okay, it's just off, Old Forge Road goes up and turns right. There's a field on the upper left there. It's a smaller field where we were previously proposing to have some of our larger events in that field also. Due to proximity of some of the adjoining neighbors,
So you like
we
to-
decided to reduce that.
For clarification, so it's this, basically it'd be this area if it was
Yep.
included on the map? Okay, thanks.
Used to have up to 200 people events at that space. We've reduced that to accommodate up to a 50-person event, and also no amplified music, no lighting, and no generators. The other gathering sites, which are more in the interior parts of the property, those are the ones that will have the larger events with up to 200 people. A pool was added to the scope of work. See where 7A is on the upper left? That's a proposed pool.
Okay.
There was discussions about people wanting to swim in the lake if it's hot in the summer, so
The
a
river.
pool has been added. I'm sorry, in the 10 Mile River. Not the lake. Some of the cabin locations along the left-hand side and top, all the 8s and 9s. Yep, the 6s, 8s, and 9s.
Okay.
Those units have been adjusted and relocated to reduce impacts to the adjoining view sheds while still aligning with the town's rural siting principles. We also eliminated a dead-end cul-de-sac that used to be in the northern central part of where the 8 units are, number 8s. And what we've done is we've connected that road back out to Old Forge Road. That's going to improve both vehicular access and emergency access. Although the previous public hearing was October 4th of 2021, we have been before the board twice previously in 2022. This is our third visit in 2022. In January of 22, at our first revision of the updated reduced scale project, There were still several outstanding items. These are the items that we've been working on throughout 2022. Specifically, we've been working with the town code enforcement officer, the town highway superintendent, and the town engineer on the scope of the off-site Old Forge Road improvements. There have been discussions with the town throughout the process of what improvements may be desired for Old Forge Road from the project all the way back out to Route 55. That's one of the things we've been working on this year. We've also been further progressing our applications with outside agencies. We created an emergency action plan, which has been submitted and reviewed by the town, and we've further developed the architectural drawings to align with our reduced scope of work. One thing over the last year, though, since the last public hearing, there's no substantive changes to the operation of the site. It's still the same overall concept, same overall uses, same types of buildings, just on a reduced scale. I would like to take a minute. I think it's important to go through all the outside agencies and just let you know what we've been doing over the last year with them. With the New York State DOT, they're reviewing the intersection improvements with Old Forge Road and Route 55. They have no further technical comments on our application. So once they receive a neg deck or some type of secret determination from your board, they will then advance their processing of their DOT permit. Dutchess County Health Department has been working on back and forth with them on the water and sewer systems for the project. For New York State DEC, we have had substantial back and forth with the DEC throughout the year. We did copy the planning board on all of the correspondence. I'm not going to go through everything that we've done, but you have it, and it's already in the record, and there has been a lot of back and forth. We have, to our understanding, addressed all of their technical comments at this time and just waiting for a final decision from them on the permit. And with SHPO, the latest plans were submitted to SHPO, and we received an updated letter of no adverse impact from them. So we're closed out with SHPO also. And since the planning board acts as the architectural review board, we do have the project architect, Walt Hauser from KG&D Architects here to just give you a quick overview of the architecturals. And Madeline, I do have I'd like to submit for the record 3 letters of support of our project. Instead of reading them out loud, we'll just submit them to the board and
Okay, thank you. Evening.
I'm Walt Hauser with KG&D Architects. And we'd like to walk you through quickly the architectural package that was submitted. It's a rather large package. I think there were over 60 drawings included, quite a few buildings. Perhaps the thing to do would be to switch real quickly to the rendered elevations and talk about each building. So, architectural drawings exhibit 13. Yes. Perfect. So John went through the site plan. That's the cover sheet. I think the thing to do, as I mentioned, would be to scroll through. Keep going here. This is a reiteration of the same site plan John just shared. So let's go down a little bit and we'll start to talk about some of the buildings. The first building is the farmhouse. This is the historical homestead of the site. The proposal here is to convert it to 3 suites or keys, as they're called. And so upstairs would be hospital lodging. Downstairs would be a common space and a kitchen area. Let's keep scrolling down.
It's like a bed and breakfast sort of setup.
Yeah, that would be a way to think about it. The direction on this building is very clear. It's really a historical rehabilitation of the exterior. We've worked very closely with SHPO on this review. And the concept is to use, and as with all of the buildings, is to use familiar shapes, historically significant materials that would be applicable to the vernacular of this area. You'll see all the buildings have familiar volumes, gable roofs, clapboard siding, natural finishes on the exterior that aren't glossy. There's nothing avant-garde here. These buildings are all intended to be beautiful and attractive, but harmonious with local vernacular and the landscape. So a great amount of effort has gone to pay homage to the historical significance of the site and the region, while also using materials that we're all used to seeing in this area. So we can scroll down a little bit. The exterior work here is really a return to the original design and construction of this building. Over the years, there have been appliques that are revivalist, classical revivalist. This is really making it more of a shaker appearance. So go down a little bit farther. We'll see some colorized elevations. Correct. So very familiar. Brick chimney, white clapboard siding, divided light windows, shingle roof. So nothing avant-garde here.
Those Connex boxes or
Exactly.
large slabs of glass.
That's
Okay,
right.
got it.
All right, so we can go through these pretty quickly. There are about 60 drawings here.
Okay.
We can scroll down just a little bit
You
here.
let us know which
So
ones went.
there are a few buildings on the site where it's really just a maintenance and rehabilitation. This is one of them. This is the stone cellar, it's a root cellar of kinds, or of sorts, for really just fixing it up, maintain the materials that are on it, fix the siding, fix the roof, paint it, fix the stone, move on. So very straightforward. This building is currently a residence. It's going to be turned into something, a facility called the library. This is really a common space. It's a gathering area. We'll have a very small kitchenette, fireplace, kind of a living room setup. We can scroll down a little bit. Keep going to the rendered drawings. There's a photograph of the existing facility and the renderings above the proposed facility. So again, you can see this is very consistent with what's there right now. It's really a restoration and rehabilitation and adaptive reuse for the function on the site. There are some adjustments to the openings, windows, and doors, but again, it's very consistent with what's there. Really just returning it to usable condition,
Can
renovating the interior.
the materials? Can you just read what they are? Because I can't read it from here.
They have to. So this is going to be a painted wood outboard siding. Then we're going to put right all the way to the left. Brick, and you can see actually in the picture the brick is existing. So this is really a rehabilitation of the red brick. The roof is proposed to be a shingle roof, a dark colored shingle roof, and then doors and windows will be painted wood to match the side.
It says solar tile.
Yeah, there is an evaluation of using integrated photovoltaic systems on roofs, and you'll see that.
Like our fourth holiday.
Yeah, exactly. And a couple different applications. One is a shingle style, one is a metal system. Okay, we can keep going down a little bit. This is the Old Hill Barn. Again, this is another case of the building, existing structure that's going to be rehabilitated, basically in common. So no change to the shape. This is really just about repair and continued use of the building. So basically the same materials we just talked about, painted red wood siding. There is some exposed concrete on this building, some field stone materials as well as some consistent with the building. So this is the prototype river cabin. So this is along the 10-mile river. John just talked about the resituation of those. So this is basically a studio space. It has a bedroom, a bathroom, and a deck on the exterior. There's also a small kitchenette space. So this would be a cabin that would be rented for an overnight stay. As you see in the images, it has a gable roof and is proposing natural finishes on the exterior. So this will be a stained and sealed wood siding along those lines. We can just come down a little bit and see the rendering images. You're doing a great job driving the PDF.
Yes, I'm good at pressing up and down buttons. So there's no stairway off onto the deck, or the only way onto the
Correct.
deck is in and out of the
Correct.
structure
The
itself?
access, this is a great image of the bottom left, actually.
Okay.
So the building is situated at the top of the hill. So access to the cabin is from grade, no access from the deck down.
It was discussed about some of these having, wood stoves, so would wood be stored in that open space underneath, or would be brought to the site as brought to each building as needed? It's been over a year, I just don't remember exactly how we.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think we envisioned storing anything underneath the building there, but I don't know if we have. I've thought about large.
I remember being discussed about the concern of, you know, a bunch of people who might not be accustomed to using wood stoves suddenly using wood stoves, and then I remember being discussed about like that maybe there'd be somebody who works for HVH that would actually go from place to place maintaining it.
The current plan is to have a limited number of wood stoves where a member of our team would come and light, bring wood as needed, so forth, manage for folks, but not just have a pile of wood. Certainly not underneath,
Yeah.
because that's a fairly steep slope in most of the places.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring it
Okay.
up for a fire.
All right. Thank you.
If you scroll down a little bit, so this building is proposed to have a metal roof system, and again, natural exterior finishes, so, you know, the stained steel, natural wood, probably vertical orientation on the side.
Okay.
This is the health center, so this is essentially a spa building. It has, the program includes a fitness studio on the top center. We're going to point to it up here. 3 treatment rooms down below, 2 changing rooms, women's and men's, and then some outdoor features which include a hot tub, a plunge pool, and a sauna, as well as a fire pit.
Okay. Was this-
The fitness studio is intended to be a flat floor space, studio, something along those lines.
Like treadmills, free weights. Or,
I don't think so. I don't think we're talking about fitness equipment
oh, okay.
in there. This is more meditative or,
Yoga.
yeah.
Okay. Was this the building that your other consultant was referencing as being the? I don't want to shoot this laser at Member Williams' head, but I think it's like there on the property.
Exactly.
But that
yes.
was going to be a pool, I thought.
It's adjacent to the pool.
So the pool's outside the building, not in the building.
Yes, it was outside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The pool's outside.
Sorry, when you referenced it earlier, I thought you said the building and then you said the pool. I took it as there was a pool in the building. Okay.
We can go back to the site plan if that helps
Oh, that's
clarify.
fine.
Basically, there's a little box that's the pool, and then there's the building that's the spa adjacent to it.
Okay. That's fine.
Question.
Okay.
So if we can scroll down a little bit to the rendered exterior images. You'll see it's very consistent. Keep going a little bit. There's some colorized versions. Very consistent with the materials we're talking about in the cabins. Again, and gable, simple roof lines, trying to keep the building a low profile on the horizon. This is a building where we're proposing an integrated metal solar panel system on the roof. So it's not intended to be the large panels that attach to the roof, but integrated into the system. Okay, keep going, please. This is the second cabin prototype. This is the stone cabin.
The 8 buildings. The number 8.
Exactly, and the name derives from the location on the site. It follows along a stone wall that separates 2 fields. Again, very similar program to the river cabin, basically a bed area, toilet room, small kitchenette space for the sink. We can scroll down. This has a much smaller porch, really for the purposes of creating some privacy for the cabin. They aren't quite as far apart from each other as the river cabins. The exterior materials are a little bit different in this case, so we are looking at a stucco system, a masonry-based stucco, which would work nicely with the stone environment right around it, with stone walls. We can scroll down just a little bit. You have a question on the plan?
Yeah, I'm just. Okay, so the bottom left, the proposed north elevation, that's where the porch is. Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Right, south is.
Yeah, if we go up just a little bit, it's covered by a roof.
Right, so the entrance isn't. The road is going along the bottom of this. The entrance is to the side, not in front.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
No, it's
Good observation.
fine.
So again, very simple shape, very straightforward, very familiar. We are looking again at this low in the horizon, low impact. And the materials themselves, integrated metal PV roof system. In this case, the windows are intended to be large pane openings, not divided lights. And then the exterior materials would be a mix of stucco and or applied concrete-based systems.
Okay, so this wouldn't have a wood stove, this would have a fireplace.
Okay, this is a prototype for the seasonal cabins. So this is
Number 9.
correct, northernmost cluster of cabins. Again, very similar program. The only difference here is this is really designed to create a more intense relationship with the outdoor environment. So you can see all the windows that are potentially there for opening. So the idea is this may be for someone who wants to blow all the windows open and have more of a camp feel in the field. The bathroom is separated, so it's literally constructed and shaped to be something more like a lean-to. And it's meant to provide a little bit more experience with nature. So if we scroll down a little bit, again,
And-
the upper volume there is a bedroom and then a separated toilet room.
It looks like nature might experience you as well.
Yes.
Privacy.
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit, yeah. a
All
little
right. Okay.
bit. Yeah. So again, it's a very similar material palette for all these cabins.
Okay.
This building is referred to as the Hive. So there are 7 sleeping rooms. They're shaped and planned much like a hotel room. A bed area, a bathroom area, closet, shower, and then the 7 units are combined into one mass, and then there's a separated communal space, so that would have a living room arrangement, or some amenities for the folks staying in the Hive.
And it's just south of the number 9 buildings.
Exactly, it's very close to the, as John Kaminsky pointed out, the second access point on that loop road.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's on the west side of Old Forge Road. Looking facing to the east.
Okay.
So again, this actually is a mix of the natural wood siding as well as painted clapboard siding. And this building is obviously a little bit bigger than some of the cabins, so the idea here is to, again, make it feel like some smaller buildings put together as opposed to one large.
Right. So it's uphill from Old Forge Road. It would be, you would see it from Old Forge Road?
Yes.
And what you would be seeing is, so the east elevation, that's what's facing
Exactly.
Old Forge Road. Okay.
Yes, the east elevation faces east towards Old Forge Road.
Right. Okay.
I would like to point out, though, that it is built into the hillside, so the idea, that's strategic in a way in that you want to sink the building down against the horizon. Yes, sir.
Just one thing, second.
Yeah.
Well, in KGD, we're as involved in some of the landscaping stuff. The shape of Old Forge Road, the slope of Old Forge Road rises and then flattens out and then
Okay.
rises again. And so we actually did I believe it was a sightline study as well as a landscape plan there where relatively short plantings are planned along above Old Forge Road at the rise. Doesn't take much to make that building invisible. Sorry, I'll just-
Okay, so that's where that's what we're talking about.
So there's basically a steep rise here, then it settles out and then rises again. And so by putting a hedgerow in this area, you might peek through it, but there's not going to be that whole building.
There'll be landscaping, you're saying? that will-
Yeah, it'd be landscape and also the topography. We'll do a fair amount of screening as well.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay.
We can keep going.
Mhm.
Is there any questions on that? Okay, now we are on the east side of the road. This is the hospitality hub. This is really the operations center for the conference center. There's a number of offices, some meeting space, and some operational components on the right side of the plan to include laundry and some maintenance and security offices. We keep going down a little bit. So just in terms of physical presence, this is one of the larger buildings on the site. And again, we worked very hard to minimize the presence in landscape. Has a very straightforward gable roof. You'll see the eave is relatively low on the sides. Again, looking to push the height of this building down as much as possible and reduce the impact on the landscape. If you want to switch to site plan, I can just show you exactly what.
Number 11?
Right there, exactly.
Yeah, there's an existing building there.
Yes,
That'll be taken down.
There's a pole barn
Right.
there. It's in pretty rough shape right
Yeah,
now.
right, okay.
So again, same material palette, natural siding. Great. This is a 3-barn complex. This is in the general area of the existing structures. Part of this is an adaptive reuse of existing components. It's really going to serve three different functions. It's the welcome center for the site. There's a farm store. The building on the right, which appears as white with the vertical lines, is a propagation house, it's a greenhouse. And the gray building on the left, right here, is a gallery barn. And that's an adaptive reuse of the structure, which really just is a place during the day for events to start or happen. It's really just going to be an open barn.
Is this, oh, this is just the farm store part?
Yeah, this is just a blow up to the farm store. So again, the function of the farm store is going to be the welcome center to the site. This is where guests will arrive to the site. It will also be a place for visitors who aren't staying overnight to arrive and purchase goods either produced on the farm or through associated vendors.
This is just the farm.
Yep.
Part,
If we keep going
farm
down a
store
little bit.
part.
Yep. So very similar materials. This building itself is proposed to have a slightly darker finish. Again, it'd be natural wood siding, just stained to a darker color, a solid stain. We are looking at two roof options, either a natural cedar shape or the integrated photovoltaic system all the way to the left. And then the image on the right is the existing structure as it currently stands. So gallery barn, this is an adaptive reuse of an existing heavy timber frame structure. Go down just a little bit. Keep going down, there's some rendered versions of that. Again, very straightforward, white clapboard siding, using elevation features that would be of the vernacular for this region, barn doors, skylight, double-hung windows, same material palette with painted white clapboard siding. So this is really just an open space.
Oh, so those are a bunch of closets or something on the left?
There's some storage, I think, that for different activities that could happen. I think, for instance, if there was an educational walk through the property, there may be some accessories that could be used for that walk. So just a little bit of storage.
So the bottom left of it is a doorway that leads into where it says existing barn door open to remain.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay. Keep going. This is the propagation house. This is proposed to be a very straightforward greenhouse, basically a kit. So this is going to be glass and metal frame, just as any other greenhouse you would see.
So then just real quick, just so it's clear. The darker gray piece in the middle of these three buildings, is it like a pergola?
A pergola, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, the three buildings form a little bit of a gathering space on themselves. This is proposed to be a pergola with a gallery zone.
Okay. And so there's some kind of, the white area outside of the buildings is some kind of...
Hardscape.
Okay. All right. All right.
So another adaptive reuse, this is the horse barn. It's an accessory building to the three barn complex just south of it, southwest, closer to Old Forge Road. It's an adaptive reuse. It's really meant to be another gathering space, very similar to the, as part of the three barn complex. So if we scroll down a little bit, and just show you what we're talking about, the exterior materials. I will say there has been some work on the cupola with SHPA. We work very closely with them to make sure that the cupola is appropriate for the age of the building. And then, again, a restoration of white clapboard siding, new roofing, new doors and windows to make something that feels very appropriate for a farm site. Okay, this is one of the largest buildings on the site. This is the Homestead House. This is really the amenity for food service on the facility. It consists of two primary food service rooms, a tasting room and a dining room. The dining room would be for larger meal services, lunch, dinner. Tasting room could be have different types of meal offerings. It's maybe more of a, not quite the right word, but a pub setting. There's a bar as well as some opportunity to eat food. And then at the top, so the top of the plan, you scroll up just a little bit, there are some other components. There's a mushroom growing room as well as a classroom with some flower storage. So there are some other events that can happen in this building outside of food service, which would be tied into some of the agricultural activities on the site.
That should be a mushroom room.
Yeah,
The
growing
mushroom would be a room for
Yeah,
mushrooms.
two rooms, right? Two rooms.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Here all night.
And then if we scroll down a little bit, there's a commercial kitchen and serving area on the bottom right of the plan.
So BOH is the Board of Health. This is like the real kitchen.
This is the real deal.
The display kitchen is, here's what it looks, your food will look like.
Exactly.
Kitchen. Got it.
And then, so the three barn complex in the site plan would be northwest of this in this drawing. So you'll see this round element in the middle, again, it's hardscape. There's a bit of a common area between all of those buildings. And then there is some proposed hardscape to the south of building 16 here, which is the Homestead House, to capture some of the views to the south overlooking the.
Okay, so the fire pit would be here.
Exactly.
That
yes.
pergola would be there.
Mhm.
There's connections.
That's right.
Got
And I will say, just, this is that's fine. We've gone to great lengths to kind of control the view shed of what's happening inside that kind of courtyard area, and then offer some beautiful views to the south while maintaining a lot of open space. So scroll down a little bit. So scroll down. The colorized elevations here are important. One of the strategies, again, here, just like with the Hive, is to break up this building so it doesn't feel like one overwhelmingly large volume, but maybe a number of volumes that have grown organically together. That's something you can see on a lot of farms around here. So the materials are not the same color throughout the building, and we've intentionally changed the siding to be vertical or horizontal depending on the location. But again, using the natural materials, natural finishes, so nothing reflective or abrasive here, but really going to great lengths to make this feel like a number of smaller buildings put together. Okay, and scroll down just a little bit. Same material palettes we've seen in the other buildings. Natural wood siding, a mixture of metal and shingle roofing, as well as some darker stain siding. So, go down just a little bit farther. We're into a series of sheds now that have to do, that tie together the agricultural and hospitality operations. They're just slightly north of the buildings we were talking about in the plan. This is a biomass shed, so if we scroll down a little bit, these are all single pitch roof structures, look very similar to what's on the site currently. And again, the materials on the siding will be natural wood stained materials. In the shed applications, we're looking at board and batten siding, so something very traditional for a utility building of that nature on a farm. Just a little bit. So we can go through these very quickly. There are a number of sheds that are all very similar. This is to store agricultural equipment, tractors, plows, that sort of thing, ATVs. They're proposed to be three-sided, open on one side, keep going down just a little bit.
Let's say open to beyond. Open to beyond. Okay. I don't know what that means. All right.
It's just open.
No.
We're just open.
Yeah. So metal roof, natural wood siding, and a board and batten configuration. These are really pole barns, for lack of a better term. We can keep going down a little bit. There are a few of these buildings.
The roof's pitched that way because of the angled. No, it's angled. I was just thinking maybe you angled the roof because of the sun.
Trying to keep the water off the opening, so from an operational perspective.
Just trying to get the water to the back.
Yeah, we just don't want the drip on the
Okay.
openings. Yeah. This particular one has some enclosed storage with garage doors. So, no, a whole lot different than the previous one. Keep going down a little bit. Again, this is primarily agricultural use. And then the farm hub. So this is at the northeastern limit of the agricultural area, and this is really housing all of the farm operations. So this is where wash pack happens, crops come in and out. Also, it provides some locker and toilet facilities and office facilities for everybody that works on the agricultural side of the operation, and some cold storage, so staging of goods that come in and out of the farm.
And north is to the left in this one.
Correct.
So the shop is on the south side of the building.
Yes. So this is an asymmetrical gable roof. Again, really just trying to keep the volume of the building down as much as possible. There is a overhead door in the middle of the lower elevation, which would serve basically as a loading area for goods coming and going from this building, as well as a covered area on the north side, which is the plan left, which is intended for goods to be coming from the fields.
So the public is mainly or only in the southern portion of the building, the shop, or?
I don't think there's really an intention for public operation usually on industrial speak. This is really agricultural function.
Yeah.
Our hope is that guests and visitors will be connected to the agricultural operation,
Right.
but not necessarily like where we're washing and packing.
Yeah, that's, I guess, because I remember something you said some time ago was about people coming to the property to actually,
Yeah.
be a farmer for a weekend kind of
Combination
thing.
house, like they won't be hanging out with tractor implements and pole barns and so forth. There might be a tour through here on occasion to get north of the garden, but it's not a place where we'll just be hanging out, sort of a back of house space.
Thank you.
So these are the colorized elevations, again, very similar materials that we saw on the hospitality hub. Vertical siding, natural siding, metal roofing, and there'll be some exposed concrete built into the foundations.
And then the hill shed.
Yep. Again, just another agricultural storage shed. There is one other structure that's not really an occupiable building, but it is a canopy proposed within the parking area. So the parking has been very carefully considered inside a cluster of the buildings. We're proposing a photovoltaic canopy over that, really to shield the cars, the view shed from all the cars. So anytime we look on the site, the intention is to really hide all of the cars as best we can underneath this photovoltaic canopy. Yeah, we have solar on it.
So these would look like more traditional solar panels? Or?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, those would be the more traditional. And that was a lot.
Yeah, that was everything. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Still your turn.
We appreciate everyone
Okay.
staying up, and I know you guys have busy lives, but I know it's a big package, and we wanted you to understand the architecture. If you have any questions, we're happy to field them about the project, or if not, you could open the public comment.
Thank you. I think we went through a lot, and as you saw, I asked my questions as we went along. Let's go through the members of the planning board. Member Williams, any comments, questions?
I just had a question about the solar as far as what is the general purpose going to be for the solar? Is it just like that area, or is it the entire project?
So we have an overarching commitment to sustainability, both in terms of the project design and in terms of operations, and also in terms of education. We think it's really important that guests who come in have experiences that make them more connected to farming, more supportive of it, but also more connected to the environment. And I feel like solar is a great way to use our roof structures, and also any place that there's screening to generate energy that we can either use or feed back to the grid. We're still working through some of the questions about how that might work, potentially for storage, potentially just feed directly back in, and then also for screening and to help with cooling and all the good things that solar can do. Anywhere where there's a roof that seems appropriate for it with orientation, we're hopeful to be able to use solar products. Also, the products available are fast emerging, so but there's some great stuff out there right now. And then also to screen parking, keep that area cool, manage water that falls on it, and then also generate energy. So it's a lot of different reasons to do it. That's the idea. I don't know if that answers the question.
Oh, we would just like to add that the considered production is less than a megawatt on the site. It's not a huge total capacity. It's just really taking advantage of the opportunity. Aligned with our goals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and one other thing on solar, there's a misconception often that solar is reflective. The whole idea is that it grabs the energy and pulls it in, so just wanted to share that as well. That's a concern. Yeah. Thank you.
Member Williams, anything? Member Sador?
Nope.
Member Holmes? Attorney Polidoro?
So, we did have several meetings to discuss the road over the course of the past year. And we gave the applicant some marching orders to work on ways to expand the road. And we've come to we have a form of agreement for each of the landowners to sign.
Well, so the highway superintendent came to an agreement with HVH about the road.
Right. Well, so as attorney to the planning board and attorney for the town, we reviewed draft language that each of the adjacent landowners could agree to allow the road to be widened. So I don't believe we've gotten anything back at this point, but that's something that's been, discussed and reviewed.
We were waiting until tonight. There was back and forth,
Mhm.
and we wanted to make sure you had no further changes because we had accepted all your changes, but we hadn't heard back that was acceptable. We'll now move forward and get those signatures. No problem.
Okay.
So thank you.
And the last time you were here, as it was stated correctly, that you have an agreement with the highway superintendent about the road, as nothing, doesn't presume anything on the part of the planning board. It's a totally separate part.
Understood.
Yeah.
This highway superintendent had issued a memo previously. We sat down and met with him, and with others, went over his comments, explained further details of what we were intending to do, and then he issued another memo that you all saw that reflects on what his expectations of us are, and we're comfortable with those expectations. And then I think the safeguard was that the planning board attorney wanted to see some kind of legal memorialization of those rights relative to neighbors. And that's what we're going to go get, is those easements, the language will go back and forth through your attorney, and now we're going to present it to them and their attorneys, and hopefully they will accept it whole cloth and not have changes that need to go back.
Well, we also shared, the town attorney also signed off on it, so.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm just talking about it from our side, of
Yeah.
our understanding. And our hope is that the neighbors don't have a problem. We've had preliminary conversations with them, and they haven't had any, so attorneys were good at messing things up, so hopefully, fingers crossed.
Okay. Thank you. Attorney Polidoro, anything further?
As far as process, we're still in a secret process. The board has not made a determination yet whether you want to grant a negative declaration or whether you want to do a positive declaration and go, the next step to a full environmental impact statement. At this point, I believe we're still waiting for comments from DEC, and Ashley Lai can address any other outstanding comments further. But given that we don't have quite all the information we need, I would recommend the public hearing be continued.
Okay. Thank you.
So we did prepare a detailed memorandum for the last meeting in October, where we went through a number of the documents that had been submitted for seeker purposes, as well as recommending that this public hearing be held this evening. I believe the bulk of our comments have been addressed at this point in time, but I think there are a couple agency comments that we might be waiting for.
All right. Is there a document you'd like me to bring up?
What was the, I don't know if we need to bring it up. It was the October 14th, 2022 memorandum. It was our last memorandum on this.
Oh, okay.
I have to go back and find it.
Just go to,
Oh, okay. So I get the files.
okay. So we can bring that up if we need to.
If I have to, yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. And engineer Jarvis?
We don't really have any new comments. We'll wait for the final documents to come in for one last final review.
All right. Thank you. Having heard from our consultants, any members of the planning board have any additional comments or questions at this time? No? Okay. All right. So with that, just want to make sure I get this technically correct. I guess we are reopening?
Reopening, yeah.
Reopening the public hearing? Okay. All right, so I'll need a motion to reopen the public hearing for Harlem Valley Homestead. Motion made by Member Holmes, seconded by Member Sador. All those in favor of reopening this public hearing, say aye. Aye. Those say no. Okay, this public hearing is now reopened. The list. Each member of the public will have 3 minutes to make their comments, ask questions. First we have Janet Pickering, and then Charlie Gottlieb. You have 2 minutes.
Janet Pickering, I'm a neighbour of Harlem Valley Homestead on Old Forge Road, and a town of Dover resident for 45 years. And I'm here to support the application. I'm appreciative of all the work that the Planning Board and its consultants have done in reviewing this project and the changes that the application has gone through in response to feedback from the Planning Board and the public. And I also commend the responsiveness and determination of the applicant. Over the 5 years that this project has been in discussion, I've watched improvements made to this land, the growth of the trees and shrubs that have been planted both in the riparian buffer of the 10 Mile River and along Old Forge Road, farming practices that care for the health of the soil, sensitive livestock management, and the removal of invasive species from old stone walls and pastures. And it's my strong belief that the way in which the Harlem Valley Homestead team cares for the land will apply to the building, landscaping, and management of the guest cabins and hospitality areas. I also continue to believe that this project represents the sort of smart economic development that Dover needs. It preserves this beautiful and productive piece of land and at the same time provides job opportunities and increased tax revenues, both directly and with potential spillover effects from attracting new visitors to town. I've been on record expressing my concern about the impact on the road and a desire to see it remain unpaved. While I'm not happy with the changes to a historical rural road, I understand that from an ecological standpoint, paving may well be preferable. I would just urge the board to ensure that the town highway department and the applicant ensure that best practices in managing stormwater runoff are followed. And I also feel very strongly that there should be a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit on this road. Thank you for your consideration, and I urge you to approve the application.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Charlie Gottlieb.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Charlie Gottlieb from the law firm of Whiteman, Osterman, Indiana.
You have 3 minutes.
And use counsel for David Elliman and Adam Haid, who both live on Old Forge Road, very proximate to this project. Here this evening in our continued opposition to the Harlem Valley Homestead Conference Center. I submitted documentation today dated December 5th, 2022, which includes our objections. One, namely, we still strongly urge that a draft environmental impact statement is required. We also suggest that new information warrants straight up outright project denial. We have new consultant reports, including a report from Bernie Adler, who is a licensed traffic engineer from Labella, Dr. Eric Keviat, who is an ecologist with Hudsonia, and Kevin Dragonchuk from CEA Engineers. We hope that the issues in the submission that we made today clearly demonstrate that a DEIS is needed. SECRET only requires one potential significant environmental impact to require a DEIS. We've outlined several. I'm going to only focus on one because of time this evening: traffic and emergency access. In September 14th, 2021, your fire department issued a memo. 2 comments stuck out to me. 1, all existing and proposed dead-end roadways must comply with the New York State Fire Code. 2, during weather events and flooding of Old Forge Road, fire truck and emergency vehicles will not have access to the project. This should be figured out through the secret process, the fire department noted. Now we go to how did the applicant respond to that? They sent a response to the building inspector and the fire inspector, not the fire department. Why didn't they resolve these comments with the fire department, the agency who is responsible for responding to an emergency event?
You have 1 minute.
I'm going to need a little bit more time than that. What they're doing is forum shopping. They couldn't get the answer they wanted from the fire department, so they chose to go to the fire inspector. What about police and the ambulance services? Have they been contacted? Nevertheless, in response to these concerns, the applicant wrote the fire inspector, do we really have to improve Old Forge Road to code standards? There's other commercial uses on substandard roads in the town. Doing so would be bad precedent, quote, and disrupt the rural character of the road. Looking through the lens, they did not want to make these improvements for the entire length of Old Forge Road because it would kill the project, knowing that Mr. Haid and Mr. Elliman would not give them access to widen on their property. The other commercial uses on the town that are on substandard roads may be the case, but are those commercial uses recently permitted by this board in the face of fire department comments saying that they shouldn't be? May I have 2 minutes, Mr. Chairman?
2 minutes. Members of the planning board, without objection. 2 minutes. Okay, without objection, 2 minutes.
Also, how is ensuring the safety of the guests bad precedent for this planning board? How is widening and paving the road destroying the rural character of this dirt road as opposed to the commercial use that's proposed on it? Because of the unwillingness to widen the road in response to the emergency response concerns, an emergency action plan to mitigate this impact has been proposed. So what happens if there's an emergency? Well, HVH is committed to providing food, water, backup power, and a first aid kit in a shelter-in-place scenario. Even worse, all guests have to sign a legal release of liability that in the event of an emergency, help can only be gotten through a helicopter medevac service. This is not a skydiving operation, this is a conference center. Also, if you have a pre-existing health condition, you're asked to cut your stay short in the event of inclement weather. I submit that it would be bad precedent to permit the development where guests cannot get safe evacuation. You have to sign away your legal rights in the event that they cannot be helped, and discourage people with health concerns to stay during inclement weather. This is not mitigation, this is damage control. Moving on to the October 4th agreement between HVH and the town will widen and place infrastructure within the road at the cost of the taxpayers, not the developer. The developer will only pave the road. Also, we submit that this agreement, which states that it's an agreement, is contrary to secret. That determination can't be made until this board has made a secret determination. So let's stop playing games here. The reason why HVA can't concede to the point of widening the entire road is because they know it kills the project. They are going to claim that their traffic assessment does not require any improvements to Old Forge Road. That's a self-serving statement. That's why we hired our own traffic engineer to assess the situation. Conclusion is that the planning board should use this secret to its fullest extent possible, which is required by the town's master plan. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next we have Roger Erickson. You have 3 minutes once you introduce yourself.
Okay, hi, Mr. Reed. My name is Roger Erickson, and thanks for all the work you're doing, Ryan. It's a hell of a job. I live on directly across from the core of Harlem Valley Homestead. I spoke about it before. I wish I could have some of the enthusiasm that I see for this project. I can't. It's It's simply going to, without having a complete environmental impact statement, or DEIS, it's with all the work that's going to be done on making a huge septic system over shallow bedrock, all the runoff from that, the fact that the road is now is planned to be, I thought it was going to be all paved, but I guess it's going to be partially paved. Pavement is a runoff problem. There's just so many things that are literally destroy what originally was trying to be saved by having a farm there. I wish so much I could that what I first believed was going to be put there was happening. I mean, the original Harlem Valley Homestead as a farm was a beautiful story. Anybody that thinks it's going to retain any of that with this size of development, with the kind of structures that are going in, it's staggering. I'd like to just read the last part of what I sent to you earlier today.
You have 1 minute.
Okay. Nearly all the documents submitted by the applicant claim little to no impact to the environment. I have no confidence in those claims. Before it was clear that this was going to be anything more than an organic farm that has some educational programs, improvements to farm roads and ponds brought, skip something. Before it was clear that anything more is going to be an organic farm, some educational programs, improvements to the farm roads and ponds brought months of tree removal, excavators, rock hammers, and blasting. Now, this led to some severe runoff into the river. This is not no or low impact. Now all the details of the scope of this project are clear. The impacts of runoff into the river during construction and after completion are real. The road to be paved, a huge septic is to be built over shallow bedrock close to the river. Cars will be parked all over the place. The noise will be unlike anything that all the decibel studies appear to predict, which I don't get a very good rating in that particular area, because we get the highest decibel score. A large number of campers will be burning wood. You really need a draft environmental impact statement. I don't see any way that this makes any sense that it goes forward without that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. And Serge, I didn't realize till just now that you had only sent your email to me. So I forwarded it now to the secretary for the planning board. She'll share it with the rest of the planning board and our consultants.
No,
And this is a view from your house, right?
that is, yeah. Okay. That's the view from the house. That's what I was looking at this morning, and that's the core of the farm.
So you live somewhere in this area, I guess across from the river? Oh, up there? Okay.
Up there.
All right.
At the top, it's directly across from apparently what's going to make most of the noise, because those decibel studies come in pretty good.
Thank you, sir.
I do have to stay while I'm still standing that
We received your email. It's going to be forwarded to the rest of the planning board. Thank you. Right. There's no one else on the list to speak at this Harlem Valley Homestead public hearing. Any members of the public wishing to speak, please come to the podium at this time.
Steve Priest.
When you get to the podium, you can.
Thank you. Appreciate your service. My name's Steve. Could you put up the view shed photo for me for a minute?
The,
The updated view shed photo for my property.
I'm gonna need a little help as to which exhibit that
Maybe
is.
14 or 15?
I don't know the numbers.
You
How
should
about that?
study. I haven't started the timer yet. Just give us a second here.
Yeah, I'll just read it.
Yep. Oh, we got it. Hold on.
Okay.
So 23. Is your property the one with the pond?
Yeah, with the pond.
Okay.
Well, they have a new one with lines on it that's been updated. But anyway,
Okay.
being the most negatively impacted target on Harlem Valley Homestead's proposed plan, I'm requesting an independent study of 3 more issues: view shed, air quality, and noise. If I can get to the view shed, I asked a few months ago if it would be updated because it was totally incorrect and had a different view of my property. Evidently, they came out and posted another one. I don't have the information now. I saw a picture of it, which doesn't even show my property looking onto the main core proposal of this project. So I'm urging that we get an independent study to rectify this non-envision of my view shed, because it's incorrect. And I'm the most impacted person on it. Second, air pollution. As my wife is suffering from stage 4 emphysema, and I have 20% of my lung removed for lung cancer, air quality is a main issue for us. A biomass boiler, 50 cabins with fireplaces, fumes produced from the commercial restaurant, pollution from hundreds of cars, ATVs, tractors, spraying of fertilizers and pesticides from the proposed project are legitimate concerns to me and my wife. Third is independent noise, because if you're there when the tractors are running, it's noisy. If you add everything else that's going on to that property, the only way to resolve that is with an independent study. And thank you for your time. But if you have that photo, you never found that.
No, so I found these photos.
Okay, hold on one second.
They're just, and I just want to be sure I have this correct, Mr. Priest. So this is your pond, and your house is here.
Yeah, my house is there.
Is the pond?
They did points from here, here, and here, and the views in their new updated thing go from here, here, here on this corner of the property.
Okay.
But not one view is to the main core of the project.
Okay.
Not one view. And it's misleading, and I'm the worst guy taking care of this. So anyway, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Priest. All right. Any other members of the public wishing to speak, please come to the podium at this time. You don't have to raise your hand. Just go right to the podium.
Hello there, Adam Haid, 244 Old Forge Road.
You have 3 minutes.
Okay.
So, well, the hardest part is trying to figure out, narrow down which problems to address. I'm going to concentrate on the road. So, the illegal agreement the town has made with the applicant is seriously flawed. Besides the obvious problem with the municipality spending taxpayer money on a private project, there's more problems with it. While HVH attorneys are arguing that this is separate from the project, it obviously is not. The highway superintendent has said many times that the road improvements are needed due to the substantial increase in traffic that would be generated should this project be approved. Not only did he say this, but it's clearly evident in the foiled emails between the town engineer and the highway superintendent. Despite this, October 12, 2022, Kathleen Gallagher emailed the DEC and stated, the town has decided as part of their overall maintenance, they will be widening Old Forge Road. Therefore, our drawing set no longer shows the widening. This is obviously meant to mislead the DEC. The applicant knows that the environmental impact of widening the road, as well as now being required to pave the whole road, is a problem. Regardless of how the applicant and the town try to spin it, they cannot deny that the road paving is a requirement for the project. The fact that they cannot operate until the paving is finished proves that. As such, instead of removing the drawing set, it should be re-included with additional studies showing that any potential negative impact due to paving the road can be adequately mitigated so as not to harm the river and wildlife. The only proper way to do this is requiring an independent study through DEIS. Another problem with this legal agreement, the previously submitted road improvement plan clearly shows the areas in which their own hired consultants determined needed widening. These areas included all the properties from the beginning of Old Forge Road to the project site. Yet, conveniently, the only required easements the town has requested is from Evan Van Hook, friend of the applicant, and the one that introduced them to the property, and Janet Pickering, the one that sold them acreage. This can be found in Exhibit A of the submitted road improvement agreement. Just so you know, we've done our own measurements. So if the applicant or the town, for that matter, argues that the road is wide enough in the other areas, therefore no easement is needed, that is incorrect. I don't believe the highway superintendent purposely excluded these properties. In another FOIL email, a request was made by our municipality to the applicant asking for the list of needed easements to add to the agreement. It was the applicant that provided those names in another obvious attempt to mislead. Lastly,
Please finish your thought.
Okay. Lastly, at the last board meeting, the chair asked the applicant if any additional properties have been purchased since their submission, and they replied no. By 11/18/2021, the owners purchased our neighbors, the Diamonds residents, at 218 Old Forge Road. This now rental property, they rented it back to the owner for 2 years, should be included in their submission, and they should be required to widen the road to the end. The applicant continues to prove they cannot be trusted with submitting accurate information, as you can see from the view sheds. Please end this tonight and require the obviously needed independent study that a DEIS requires. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to speak at this public hearing for Harmon Valley Homestead, please come to the podium at this time. Okay, seeing no one approaching the podium, it was recommended by our attorney, and I agree that we would continue this public hearing. Discussion? So, seeing no discussion, I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing. We have a meeting on December 19th and then January 23rd.
I think the 23rd at this point, to give everyone time to read this, get updates from DEC.
Did the applicant could just come to the point? Do you have a time frame as to when the DEC said they might get back to you, or?
We have been unable to get any type of time commitment from them.
Okay.
But as I said before, we believe we've addressed all of their. Well, we know we've addressed all the comments that they've given us, and we're just waiting for them to get back to us. You know, they are a government agency. They are understaffed and overworked, so it's taken longer than typical just because of their requirements.
Reasons.
Yeah. So we
Okay.
don't know.
All right.
Hopefully soon.
So,
January 23rd is fine with us.
Okay.
When appropriate, I have a couple of comments I'd like to make before the end of the meeting.
okay, well, it's still a public hearing. You can speak now if you'd like.
So, interestingly enough, so Merriam-Webster's word of the year for 2022 was gaslighting.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much how I'll just summarize a lot of the things that I heard. Rather than get into it. And Charlie and I and the Hayes and the opposition, we could just go back and forth for months on end, and that doesn't help you. I think at the end, you need information. I believe you have all that information. You've had it packaged in our proposed Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3 of the EAF. It explains why we believe a negative declaration is warranted. I think ultimately, this colloquy could just go on ad infinitum like a professional motion machine, and that doesn't help anyone. What needs to happen is, I think, at some point in the first quarter of the new year, we need to wrap up the process. And obviously, we'd love to see an approval. They'd love to see a denial. They'll keep coming up with new issues to study, new issues, new reasons to delay, new reasons of what's wrong or what's inappropriate. It'll go on, just like a professional motion. At the end of the day, you need to hear from DEC. We agree with that. Even though the reality is, if you look at the comments from DEC, it's like, add a sentence here. Make sure the pamphlet gets handed out to this person and that person. They're not big issues. But I do believe that between our part 1, 2, and 3 that you've been given, and all the other information and your consultants, you can start pulling together your conclusions and get to a solution. I think you need it, we need it, even they need it. It just needs to come to a conclusion, in my opinion, humbly, at some point during the first quarter of the new year. If there's some information that we haven't given you other than that DEC comment, what we're waiting for them to say, yep, I's and T's, that's really where we are, we believe, with them. And obviously, as Attorney Polidoro pointed out, we need to get you proof that those easements are signable. Obviously, I'm not going to give you the easements because you're not going to get recorded for obvious reasons. They would have some kind of stringing mechanism, assuming that we go forward with the project. They're not, they will be valid and enforceable, but we're not going to record them now. I wouldn't, as a property owner, record it now until it's needed, right? That's really a nit, not an availability. So anyway, for whatever it's worth, I think we all would benefit from closure on this. It's been a lot for us. It's been a lot for you, I know, and I know you have a lot of other controversial projects in town, so I thought I'd just sort of speak plainly on closure. So thank you.
Could I ask a question? Could you explain to what extent the road paving and widening is included in your seeker studies? And
I don't want to do that extemporaneously because of the way it's been presented tonight. Let me make sure I put a fine point on it, and we'll definitely get that to you.
I'd just like to see that addressed.
Yes, no, we can explain.
I mean, I know that you've addressed it in your narrative somewhat, but I do want to make sure that the project consistently addresses that issue.
Yep.
So you'll submit a memo to the attorney and the planning board, which will be publicly available for everyone to see.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So, did I already make a motion?
There was a motion, but I don't think it was seconded.
Motion to continue the public hearing to January 23rd, seconded by Member Holmes. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. Okay, the public hearing is now continued to January 23rd. Okay, thank you, everyone. It's yours.
State amended its traffic laws recently to allow towns to reduce speed limits on town roads with more discretion than they have now. So we may want to revisit, or the applicant may want to revisit, a question that came up a long time ago about speed limits.
Right, because it did come up tonight about the road should be 25 miles per hour. Up until your statement of 10 seconds ago, we were told that we don't have that power. We still may not. So you're gonna look into it.
Well, I mean, I know villages and cities, it was amended, and then suburban towns, I just have to go through the list, but it's something to look into.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So next, the next item on the agenda next item on the agenda is appointment of consultants and planning board secretary.
You don't have them?
I have the agreement. Oh, there? Oh, there. Yeah. Thank you.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Aye.
it's the PDFs.
I use the 12.0, doesn't 12.05. They're all the same.
All right, resolution appointing attorneys to the planning board, whereas pursuant to section 271, subsection 2 of the town law, the planning board is authorized to employ experts, clerks, and a secretary, and to provide for such other expenses as may be necessary and proper. Now therefore be it resolved, the planning board of the town of Dover does hereby appoint Rodenhausen Shaw LLP, Victoria L. Polidoro Esquire, as attorneys to the planning board for the year 2023, and authorizes the chair to execute the retainer agreement on file with the planning board clerk. And I'm still talking because it should say appoint Rodenhausen, Shaw, and Polidoro LLP as attorneys.
I did not draft that.
No worries. So, okay, so it's Rodenhausen, Shaw, and Polidoro LLP. This resolution is being offered by Member Holmes, seconded by Member Williams. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor?
Victoria, I have the agreement, but you didn't sign it.
I can sign it.
I don't have the signed copy. I have the unsigned copy.
That's fine. I mean, that's
All right.
Were you waiting for us to
digital,
sign
but
it first, and then you were going to sign it?
I can
I
sign
just
it
didn't know
tonight
if you had to
like.
sign it. Okay.
I don't know.
You want a pen? Hold on.
Well, I don't have to sign at this moment. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of resolution appointing attorneys to the planning board, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Resolution is adopted 4-0 with 3 absences. Resolution appointing a planning consultant to the planning board, whereas pursuant to section 271, subsection 2 of the town law, the planning board is authorized to employ experts, clerks, and a secretary, and provide for such other expenses as may be necessary and proper. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board of the town of Dover does hereby appoint AKRF Incorporated as planners to the planning board for the year 2023, subject to the terms and conditions of AKRF's contract with the town of Dover. This resolution is being offered by Member Sador, seconded by Member Williams. Discussion. I see Vice President Lai showed up just for this meeting. Consultant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of resolution appointing a planning consultant to the planning board, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Resolution adopted 4-0 with
Can I
3
have her
absences.
contract?
Sure.
I don't know what to do with it.
All right, resolution appointing engineer to the planning board, whereas pursuant to section 271, subsection 2 of the town law, the planning board is authorized to employ experts, clerks, and a secretary, and provide for such other expenses as may be necessary and proper. Now therefore be resolved, the planning board of the town of Dover does hereby appoint Berger Engineering and Surveying, Joseph Berger, LSPE, as engineers to the planning board for the year 2023, and authorizes the chair to execute the retainer agreement on file with the planning board clerk. This resolution is being offered by Member Holmes, seconded by Member Williams. Discussion? Seeing no discussion. Hope Joe's doing well. We'll see him again 2 weeks.
Yeah, he just got close contact with somebody who had COVID, so he
Yeah,
didn't
you
want
didn't have to say it. That's fine.
I didn't have to say it, but I...
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of resolution appointing engineer to the planning board, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Okay, the resolution is adopted 4-0 with 3 absences. Resolution appointing secretary of the planning board, whereas pursuant to section 271, subsection 2 of the town law, the planning board is authorized to employ experts, clerks, and a secretary, and to provide for such other expenses as may be necessary and proper. Now therefore be it resolved, the planning board of the town of Dover does hereby appoint Marilyn Van Millen as secretary of the planning board for the year 2023. Resolution is offered by myself, seconded by Member Williams. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of resolution appointing secretary of the planning board, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. Resolution is adopted 4-0 with 3 absences. Congratulations or salutations to all of you.
Congratulations.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Where did the, we're not quite done yet. Where did the,
I don't know what to do. You want to take mine? I didn't
all right. No, we need to do that.
do
right
it
now.
now, but I made a mistake, so
Fine.
that's what.
So next scheduled meetings, so first we need to approve the meeting schedule and deadlines for 2023. Okay, so it's this except for a minor edit. If you look at the August meetings, the 2 deadlines should be a week later. So instead of July 12th, it's July 19th, and instead of July 26th, it's August 2nd. Okay. What we're doing is a slight change from this year, or I guess it's maybe we're reverting back to the way it was. The deadline is now going to be essentially 19 days before the planning board meeting, so it'll be on a Wednesday, 19 days before our Monday planning board meetings. This year it's been Fridays, which was challenging at times just with our secretary being part-time and not being in most Fridays. So our secretary tends to be in Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Wednesday at noon. So for everybody out there, Wednesday at noon on those dates. So make a motion to adopt the meeting schedule and deadlines for the planning board for 2023. Motion made by myself, seconded by member Sador. So any discussion about any of that? Okay. All right. And again, as I've said before, we have consultant / pre-agenda meetings. It's myself, the secretary, our consultants, and another member or 2 can join us. That won't generate a quorum. So again, if you're able to do so, the secretary sends out an email. If you can get on, typically they're during the day. So if you're able to get on, we do them usually virtually. Occasionally we'll have one in person, but if you're able to get on, that'd be great. It's just a good way to interact further with regard to our upcoming meetings. So, any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the meeting schedule and deadlines for the planning board for the year 2023, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Okay, that motion passes 4-0 with 3 absences. Our next meeting is December 19th. The deadline has passed. On the agenda for the 19th, we would have the Holder lot line adjustment.
And Rima Deli.
And the Reamer Avenue deli. And that would be it, since we already have the okay. And then January 23rd will be a very busy meeting. And then February 6th. Deadline for the January 23rd meeting is January 4th. February 6th meeting is January 18th. Any discussions, questions, comments about upcoming meetings? Okay. Is there any further business before this planning board? Seeing no further business before the planning board, I'll make a motion to adjourn, seconded by member Sador. All those in favor of adjournment say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.